It looks like I'm recording again.
Huh?
It looks like I can. Maybe I think I can do 20 more minutes.
Oh, think so?
I think so. So this is tape 2 on September 20th of 2012. It's Thursday. And we got cut off in the middle of a story, so
You don't know where it was?
I do. You were down at camp and
Oh, yeah, we'd have a little contest to see who would pick up the, because I was in pretty good shape after I had dug a well that was 40 foot deep and laid the rock and mixed all the concrete and so forth. I was a skinny little fellow, but strong as could be. And I was always the big winner. I could lift the rocks higher and stronger. But that's purely because of my conditioning. I wasn't a real heavy person. I imagine I weighed about 130 pounds and about 5'8". When I was 15 years old, I was 5 feet tall and weighed 100 pounds. So I put in a little squirt of growth right about that time.
yeah. So, what things do you remember were going on in the world when you were growing up? What were the things that your parents were talking about in the world, in politics or world news?
Well, I can remember when I was quite young, we'd make a little bit of, people would give us money or something, and we had an egg, looked like a chrome egg, that you could put money in. And we had saved up, we don't know how much, because the bank had the key to it. And you take it up, and that was when $1 was worth $1.
Yeah. What was the money for?
Just save. And I remember when my dad's partner left, and Dad had nothing but debt, and nobody had any money because of the Depression. And Mother called us together. She said, "We're trying to get enough money together to pay some of the bills." And so we said, "Well, take our money." We didn't know how much was in it, but it might have been $2 or $3. I don't know, maybe $4, something like that.
Yeah.
A good deal of money back in those days.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it didn't help much, but at least let us know that we were being a partner in the problems. I remember Dad came home one time and was sitting around the table eating, and Dad said, I got a problem." He said, "You know, our president," that was FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, we had a program he called the New Deal, and it was trying to put people to work. They had another program they called the Civil Conservation Corps, which is developed. They had kids that could be getting in trouble because they didn't have anything else to do. They were put to work building parks and
It's what built Garner State Park.
yeah, and Barton Springs, a whole bunch of stuff out there. Boy Scout huts, things like that. Putting up windmills in West Texas. Keeping the kids, they could make, maybe $5 a week, something like that. But they had to send some of it home. Maybe send 2 of it home. And another program was on was WPA, Works Progress Administration. And that put the older men to work. And they built roads and bridges and culverts and all that sort of thing. And they didn't make much money, but it kept them busy, and they take some money home. Of course, most of the kids left home. But WPA, why, they'd work around. They'd pick you up a big old truck and take you out to wherever the job was. And Dad came home with this problem. He said, I'm paying Sam $8 a week.
Uncle Sam, right?
No.
No. Oh.
Delivery
Who?
boy.
Oh, a delivery boy. I was.
A delivery boy.
I was confused.
He stocked groceries and things like that, but anything came up, we was sweeping the floors in the morning and staying busy. I'm paying him $8 a week. But he's single boy. And they want me to hire a married man for $12 a week. And I don't know how we can do it, but the president wants me to do it, and a whole bunch of other people are doing the same thing. So I'm gonna do it. So that was the big problem. He didn't ask us our opinion, but he wanted to share his problems with us. So pretty soon we went up to the store, and there was a new man there, and I was introduced to him. His name was Barnes. He had 4 boys and a wife, and he only lived about 5 blocks from the store. And he was a pleasant fella, hard worker, didn't complain any. But Dad confided in us one day. He says, you know, Mr. Barnes, I'll pay him $12 a week, and he buys $11 worth of groceries. In other words, he's more or less working for food. And sometimes he doesn't have enough. And think of how many thousands of other people are in the same condition. And then pretty soon the report comes in that the soup lines, they used to have soup kitchens and unemployment lines, people lining up for work. You go all the way around the block, and it'd have these big old pots of soup, and some of them would line up outside, some would go inside, some would eat there, and some would take it home. They'd bring their own bucket or whatever. But that was a pretty hard time.
Do you ever remember not having enough food?
Oh no, we always had plenty of food. Even though the apples were spotted and partly rotten, and the peaches were well done.
Yeah.
And of course, at about that time, the valley was started to growing fruit and vegetables, because irrigation was a easy thing to do down there. So that was about to get, and people would start moving way up from north down. And about that time, they were building Buchanan Dam. It was quite a big project. Buchanan was our senator, and they had...
What year was this?
It must have been 35, 37, something like that. It was just after, I imagine, Roosevelt's second term. And also a great big thing they were doing was the Tennessee Valley Authority. Tennessee River is a great big river, and they started building dams on that. That put a lot of people to work, generating electricity. And then the Lower Colorado River Authority was started about that time, and they started putting high lines out in the country where people used to use kerosene lamps, where they could use electricity now, and instead of pumping water by hand or put water from a cistern off the roof, why they could use electric pumps to pump water out to their house and have running water in their homes. That was 1936, 37, something like that. Lower Colorado River Authority and Tennessee Valley Authority. And of course, that's the only two that I know of. There must have been hundreds or more. But a lot of people against that, because United States is a free enterprise, and individuals are supposed to do it, not the government. And they said that Roosevelt was turning the United States into socialist. And in a way it was, because the government helped a lot of people from starving to death. And it electrified and the countryside. It probably it would have taken a lot longer to do the same thing with free enterprise. But it's you could use democracy and with a compassionate attitude to let the government do things for you when you can, like one of the things that Roosevelt started was well, the most social thing that ever did was Social Security. That was where you paid 1 cent for every dollar you made, and you let the government invest it for you. And he called it a tax, but it was really a Social Security investment. And every dollar you made, you put a penny in. Your employer did. Then your employer matched that, so that's 2 pennies. Eventually, it's a lot more than that today. I think it's 8 or 9 cents, something like that, for every dollar you make. But still, it's the socialist attitude where you're participating in it yourself. So it's not government doing it for you, it's that they're administrating it for you. We're having the same discussion today where they say that the government not supposed to be doing a lot of things it's doing. But I'm thankful for it anyway.
Well, do you remember any chores as a child that you hated doing?
Any what?
Chores as a child that you hated doing, something that you were responsible for doing that you just didn't want to do?
I've always had mowing the grass, keeping it. Well, when Fraser had polio, after he had polio, my mother heard that goat milk was very nutritious. So we had acquired a very expensive Persian cat. Somebody gave it to Dad because they couldn't have him pay his bills, so they said, "We've got this cat." You'd be surprised how many things that were given to Dad. That one time a guy didn't have any money, had an accordion, and he said, "Mr. Caldwell," said, "I don't want you to give this to me. I want to let you use my accordion but I need some groceries." And Dad took his accordion. We saw it up there, and I said, "Take it on home and play with it." So he played it. It was so nice. We played it for a week. Dad said, "He's going to come to back tomorrow and get it." Another time he got a trumpet. I played taps all over the neighborhood. I'm sure the neighbors closed the windows. That was the way things were done back in those days. People were proud. They didn't want to give them anything. They wanted to earn it. And if you loaned them money, they wanted to give you collateral to be sure they'd come and pay you back. It was surprising how many. One of the things I remember, especially on Saturdays, I would spend the whole day at the store, sweeping and cleaning up, boxing, taking 100-pound sacks of potatoes and put them in 10-pound bags so people could use them, and restocking the shelves and things like that. And then somebody come in with a 1-gallon glass jug. They want some kerosene. They called it coal oil back in those days. And they usually had a long string on it so the kids could hold it. And I'd go back in the back and stick it on the spout and turn that crank until that got just so full, and then I'd put the cap back on, usually a cork, and take it out in front. And I think it cost, maybe 5 or 6 cents a gallon or something like that. It wasn't very much.
Wow.
But that was what they used to cook with, and use kerosene lanterns.
Mm-hmm.
Austin was very fortunate. We had electricity ever since I can remember. But some people lived in an area in town where they still use kerosene for cooking, or sometimes use it for a kerosene lantern to go out and look at the chickens or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember quite often that, especially on Saturdays, kids would come in with this glass jug. Most of them were glass.
Wow.
It's amazing. They get busted.
Yeah.
Kids walk 5 or 6, 10 blocks maybe to get a gallon of kerosene. They call it coal oil because the first fuel oil they used was made from coal, distilled from coal. And when they struck oil down in East Texas, that made Texas more or less rich.
Mm-hmm.
And we started making gasoline and kerosene and diesel oil and lubricating oil and everything else. I remember one year we were going to Nashville, Tennessee, and we drove through Kilgore.
What year do you think?
I don't know. Must have been 1920, 32, 33. Mm-hmm. Maybe 30. We were going, and Kilgore was full of oil wells. They were drilling. Just, of course, they were made out of metal today, but back in those days, their towers were made out of wood. And they were, instead of drilling round and round like you do now, they used to drill them down, push them down. Great big, and and it smell, it's oil being pumped up, you know, and put into tanks, and it spills over and so forth, and you smell Kilgore before you got there. And down here east of Bastrop, down in Luling, we also had oil wells. And you could smell that a half mile before you got to Luling.
Mm-hmm.
But Kilgore, years later, they had a high school that blew up because gas accumulated in the basement.
Ooh.
Got ignited. A whole bunch of kids got killed.
Wow. What year was that?
I was in junior high. I suppose 1930.
No.
Kilgore's not too far from Tyler, East Texas.
Well, we have 1 minute, PawPaw.
1 minute. 1 minute's not much time.
I know. I think we did good today.
You think so?
Yes. Well, I love you.
I thought you did.
I don't love you anymore, though.
I'm glad. I'm getting tired of all that love.
But I don't love you any less.
Well, it's 9 o'clock and all is well.
Say goodnight to everybody you love. Say bye-bye. Love you.
See y'all.